You are now listening to the smooth, mellifluous sounds of Red's Room Podcast. Enjoy.
Welcome to episode number 19 of the Red's Room Podcast. I'm your host, Red.
And I am your co-host, Jake.
And today we are talking about Die Glock, or the Nazi Bell.
Oh, fuck yeah.
As always, our references are in the episode description, so feel free to check them and see all the material we ripped off for this.
Yeah, I was thinking about one of the older ones, and you were like, check them out. If not, I'm going to throw in one random lie.
Yeah. I'm just going to make some shit up here on the fly.
Yeah.
No, guys, we try to give you all of the made-up facts.
Yeah.
No, we try our best to give you the facts and the conspiracies and the in-between. So
Yeah, this is definitely a perfect one. That falls under that umbrella perfectly, the Nazi Bell.
yeah, pretty cool. So we like to dive right in. Enough of the bull crap, Jake. Let's get into this.
Do it.
So, Die Glock, or the Nazi Bell, was a purported top-secret scientific technological device, secret weapon, or Wunderwaffe, developed in the 1940s in Nazi Germany. Where else would it be?
Yeah.
First described by Polish journalist and author Igor Witowski in Prawda o Wunderwaffe. That's his book. In 2000 it came out. It was later popularized by military journalist and author Nick Cook, who associated it with Nazi occultism, anti-gravity, and free energy suppression research. Mainstream reviewers have criticized claims about Die Glock as being pseudoscientific, recycled rumors, and a hoax. Die Glock and other alleged Nazi miracle weapons have been dramatized in video games, television shows, and novels. Jake, didn't you see it in a video game, Jake?
Yeah, Call of Duty World at War. There's probably a lot of you guys that have played
Shout
it.
out.
Yeah, shout that out. There's literally a wonder gun in that game called the Wunderwaffe. And one of the maps in that game is called Dries, so you can already see the parallels. But it is, like you say, dramatized, fantasized, and there is no real way to know if it's real or not, but there is some conflicting but also interesting evidence, I would say.
I don't think it's that big of a stretch of the imagination to think that the Nazis were developing super weapons or trying to make them. There's not a big jump there. But what they were doing, that's where it's kind of hard to know exactly what they were working on.
Mm-hmm. It seems like, too, we'll get on to it, most people that had knowledge of this shit is dead, too. Like, there's no...
Yeah, they gas chambered them all.
Yeah, unfortunately so.
Yeah, they went down to Argentina, allegedly.
Dude, there might be some people in the know in Argentina who...
Yeah, they got the Nazi Bell down there, and they just use it for really mundane stuff.
Yeah, just to power their
They're
town.
just moving cattle with it. All right, anyways, enough of that malarkey. Okay, I'm going to read a little more of this. So, Witowski wrote that he first discovered the existence of Die Glock by reading transcripts from an interrogation of former Nazi SS officer Jacob Sporenberg.
Bad dude, from what I know.
Dude, that's how your name should have been spelled. Jacob.
The K.
I feel like you pronounce that J a yay. I don't know.
Jacob.
Jacob. No, I feel like it's Jacob.
Jacob.
Yeah, it sounds harder. We're gonna change your name. It's gonna be like that. So, anyways, Jacob Sporenberg, who supposedly confessed to ordering the murder of about 60 persons who had knowledge of the secretive project. I'm gonna say that's kind of low numbers from a Nazi, but it's still terrible.
The only thing, though, that does make sense to that is there probably wasn't very many people in the know of this project. If it was,
True.
60 people to me sounds about right.
Yeah, he murdered almost everyone that knew about it. All right. According to Witowski, he was shown the allegedly classified transcripts in August 1997 by an unarmed Polish intelligence contact who said he had access to Polish government documents regarding Nazi secret weapons. Witowski maintains that he was only allowed to transcribe the documents and was not allowed to make any copies.
So this is the part of this whole topic that is kind of up in discussion. It all relies on an anonymous Polish asset. And if you listen to Igor talk with Witowski, he sounds like a genuine guy.
Yeah.
But there's no knowing.
They got an interview with him on a podcast that we like, Astonishing Legends, that talked about this, and you can hear Witowski, and he sounds like he sounds like a legit. He sounds legit, yeah. But I'd be interested to see. I know he is still working on it. I'd be interested to see over the years of what else he uncovers and comes out with about it. Hopefully, it gives some more credence, gives some evidence to this.
Yeah, because that is the part that really sucks. Is I want to believe the guy, but the asset is remaining anonymous, which I don't blame the guy.
To be fair, we learned about Operation Paperclip from like one note found in a bathroom.
In a toilet?
Yeah. So to be fair, great things can come from a really thin source, right?
Very true.
But yeah, we remain skeptical but interested.
Definitely.
Yeah. I'm going to read a little more of this. So Kurt Debus, Werner von Braun, and Walther Gerlach
Go with that.
were also allegedly implicated in Die Glock research. I don't know those other two names, but Werner von Braun.
That's a bad dude right there.
Yeah, the head of NASA after Operation Paperclip.
The United States gets him.
Check back to our Paperclip episode for all those details.
You got to listen to that one. That's a must listen. Helped develop the V2 rocket.
But yeah, why wouldn't he be involved in this?
You would assume so. He's a top tier Nazi.
Yes, and supposedly like an Elon Musk type genius inventing rockets and stuff.
That is true. Regardless of how shitty the guy was, there's some pretty disheartening facts about the guy. Regardless of that, he was a very smart dude. And it would make sense that he, like you said, would be in the know-how of this supposed Die Glock project, which also I believe that translates directly. It means the bell. I believe that's what it means.
I think you are correct, yeah. But Die Glock sounds cool.
Yeah, it does sound cooler.
So, Witowski claims Die Glock was organized under a division of the Waffen SS and operated mainly at facilities in Lower Silesia. Die Glock was conceived in early 1942, and active experimentation began in mid-1944. Prisoners from the Cross-Rosen concentration camp were supposedly exposed to radiation from Die Glock, resulting in many deaths and health problems. Survivors of the camp are alleged to have reported witnessing tests of Die Glock, reporting a bright bluish light from the object. All right, guys, that was just reading the intro into what this thing, the background of this thing, which we haven't even really gotten to what it is yet. Other than being an experimental Nazi super weapon.
It's definitely a dense subject. What really speaks to me is that they supposedly did see a bright bluish light, those unfortunate people that were in that concentration camp, but I wonder how like bright and crazy. Do you think it just like filled the sky with blue light? I don't know,
man.
I think it was a UFO if I saw that shit.
It's interesting, too. Whenever I think of, like, radiation, I think of green. But, you know, that's from comic books.
Purple and blue. That's from
the Hulk.
I think,
so I don't think that's really scientific research.
Or, like, a Fallout ghoul, like, in the radiated... Totally, you do think of green. Or red with, like, a danger, like, radiation.
Right.
You know?
So... in this case, it was bright bluish light. Well, that kind of makes me think of LED lights, but I wonder what it was, really.
I've also heard it described as possibly purple, too.
Supposedly, it took a lot of power. I'm wondering maybe if it was like plasma type thing. I don't know. Let's get into more of the description before we...
bullshit anymore.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right, so, allegedly... An experiment carried out by Third Reich scientists working for the SS in a German facility known as Der Reis, or the Giant,
Call of Duty.
near the
Near a mine.
near the Wenceslas mine. I had to try, okay? And close to the Ketch border, Die Glock is described as being a device made out of a hard, heavy metal, approximately 9 feet wide and 12 to 15 feet high, having a shape similar to that of a large bell. According to Cook, this device ostensibly contained 2 counter-rotating cylinders, which would be filled with a mercury-like substance, violet in color. This metallic liquid was codenamed Zerum 525 and was otherwise cautiously stored in a tall, thin thermos flask a meter high.
This is some like Element 115 shit.
It kind of is. Witowski postulated Zerum 525 was likely an irradiated form of mercury used in the creation of a form of plasma that was intended as a weapon and or propulsion system, and which may have been capable of distorting space-time. So, okay, they are talking plasma, but now we're getting into mercury. And I know some of the things, conspiracies around this talk about red mercury.
That's a tough topic.
Did you find any red mercury things, Jake, when you were researching this?
I heard about it. The few things that I listened to talked about it, but I don't know a ton about it.
Red mercury there's no evidence it ever existed. It's kind of like the Philosopher's Stone. Like the Philosopher's Stone was of alchemy. Like red mercury is like the Philosopher's Stone of chemistry. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. Maybe it does, but it's kind of like a catch-all, mystical, magical, element.
100%. It is a cool, just dope material. Also, don't want to ramble on about this too much, but the COD zombie shit, Doris was the first map, and then they remade it in a later game, and they titled it The Giant. So they
really?
totally ripped from the Nazi Bell, which is a cool source to go from.
I think that's cool. I like it.
I like it too.
Yeah. All right, let's get back into it. Additional substances said to be employed in the experiments, referred to as Leichtmetall or light metal, included thorium and beryllium peroxides. Cook describes Die Glock as emitting strong radiation when activated, an effect that supposedly led to the death of several unarmed scientists and various plant and animal test subjects, based upon certain external indications. Witowski states that the ruins of a metal framework in the vicinity of the Wenceslas mine, the Henge, may have once served as test rig for an experiment in anti-gravity propulsion generated with Die Glock. Others, however, dismissed the derelict structure as simply being a conventional industrial cooling tower.
I like that sentence a lot because you get the two sides there.
Yeah, you get both sides there.
Some people think it was just a cooling tower. Other people think that, I believe I read that the henge was used as like a tether point.
Yeah, like they had it chained there in all sides.
Kind of keep it contained, maybe.
So when they powered it up and it started levitating, it didn't just take off. It like stayed in that.
They tried to contain the fucker. It is an interesting idea.
And some of our links there is, I can't remember which one, but there is a picture of the henge.
Oh, there is a picture. Yeah, I saw it.
You can easily find a picture if you Google it too, but it is in our references. It's an interesting structure for sure.
Yeah.
So, I also wanted to comment. I like how he said, it supposedly led to the death of several unarmed scientists. I just thought that was kind of funny. Like, why would they be armed? Or are we just saying that they didn't have like lead suits on for the radiation? I
would imagine that they didn't understand the terrible effects of radiation as we know nowadays.
Right.
It's also, the meme like, I'm going to get an x-ray and the doctor walks out. I got to get exposed to this shit. Why don't they get exposed?
Yeah.
But
they were just figuring it out.
Yeah, they were definitely figuring it out, testing the waters.
All right. I'm going to read this last paragraph under the description section.
Okay.
In his book, Hitler's Suppressed and Still Secret Weapons, Science and Technology, Stevens states that Die Glock contained red mercury and describes stories alleging that a concave mirror on top of the device provided the ability to see images from the past during its operation.
It's a little freaky deaky.
That's where I saw the red mercury thing. Yeah, so now it lets you see images from the past.
I don't fully understand the red mercury thing. Is red mercury like, is it red straight up?
Yep.
Because
it looks like mercury, but it's red.
Because they were saying that there was a purple like liquid inside the cylinders.
That was the
bell.
Zerum.
That was the
525.
Yes.
That was like a plasma-like serum.
So
or a form of plasma.
Maybe they were used together, or this whole red mercury thing is bullshit. Or
I don't understand how it can be a metallic liquid and plasma-like. Those contradict each other, right? Right there.
Yes.
Either it's a metallic liquid or it's plasma. Plasma isn't a liquid.
You can't.
It's plasma.
Yeah.
It's like energy almost.
As far as I know, though, plasma is also kind of its own thing, and it's a little...
It is its own... Yeah, it's its own
kinda,
state of matter. So either this is bullshit or this is people who aren't scientists trying to explain a scientific thing.
You know, you could
Right?
be right there, but I also feel like there is a lot of anomalies in chemistry that are still trying to figure out. Like, I don't want to get too tinfoil hatty, but like Bob Lazar talked about the element 115 and how they couldn't even like keep it.
I think I know what you're saying,
you know,
but a chemist
still- yeah.
a chemist still wouldn't have made that mistake.
It's
He wouldn't have called it a metallic liquid and a plasma. He wouldn't have called it, a plasma like, I don't know, or maybe what's a different form of plasma? That doesn't even make sense.
All I would say is whatever, if this Nazi belt is real, it is being powered or fed by something fucking weird. So I can kind of buy it, but it is kind of contradicting, little weird, like how you're saying.
To be fair, though, maybe this is just a journalist or non-scientific journalist trying to explain something scientific. So maybe it's just a lack of knowledge on how to describe what they're seeing. That's the fairest I can be about it.
Sounds very plausible to me.
But yeah, it's powered by something mysterious. They're calling it 0525. They're also calling it red mercury. So to me, that throws up red flags, but it's interesting.
It's tough to
how
know,
would
man.
you? So let's talk about though how it was saying it worked. So it's a bell with like another bell inside of it that they both spin opposite of each other, and that creates an anti-gravitational effect.
I know.
Is that what you got out of it?
There is supposedly 2 cylinder-like objects inside it that spin opposite of each other, creating...
Okay, so it has a bell, and then it has
There's
two
two
cylinders
inside
inside
of it.
that spin opposite. Okay,
And
so the bell's like the housing.
Yes, the way I wrote it down is it utilized 2 high-speed counter-rotating cylinders filled with a purple metallic-looking substance, like you said. And I would assume from that it generated something super powerful, where they had to build, like we said before, a henge. If we're believing this shit, to kind of contain it, to tether it. It was so powerful, and how you were saying earlier, it consumed like an insane amount of electricity or whatever, generated like an insane amount of power.
It kind of it's reminding me of the ancient Indian, I think they're called the Vimanas.
Okay, I'm not familiar.
I might have to, sorry if I messed that up. I should have researched that for this. I didn't make that connection until now. But they were ancient flying structures that were supposedly powered by mercury that when energized would cause rotation.
We talking mercury or red mercury?
No, we're talking mercury.
We're talking regular.
We're talking
okay.
mercury here. So it would be interesting. I mean, if they did find a way to alter the structure of mercury and somehow make it, give it properties that benefited a rotation,
I could, in my little pea brain, I could imagine that as feasible.
If they somehow could alter it to make it, to make it react to a electrical field better, I don't know. But even if they didn't, regular mercury, if you put it in like a bowl and you like a steel bowl and you energize that bowl with electricity, it will start spinning.
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder if they kind of took some inspiration from those old ancient Indian. I'm pretty sure they were called Vimanas. Let me double check that, and maybe Jake, you go into some details. I'm gonna double check that real quick.
I'm gonna get into a couple theories of what the hell happened to this Nazi bell. One of the first ones, it's super obvious. If you research this, there's going to be a website that talks about it. But as we referenced it earlier, maybe the Americans or the Russians got their hands on the bell via Operation Paperclip. As we know, scientists, they were kind of split up. The Russians got some, we got some. Maybe one of us got the bell. I don't know. I think it's fun to think about. Did you find any info on that?
I did. Let me make this last comment.
Okay.
Then now I'm interested in what you're saying.
No, you're good.
Yes, it is. They're the Vedic Vimanas from India, and it looks like that they are the modern day scientists there in India are researching them and the supposed designs. That yes, they do use mercury and electricity.
Hey, that's fucking awesome, man. That was good to make that connection.
It's called a mercury vortex engine.
Okay, that sounds dope.
That does create anti-gravitational effects, supposedly.
Okay.
So, to make, like they were, the author earlier, which one was that? Was that Nick Cook, I think?
He was the one that kind of re-released the book.
But he's the one who made the connection to a cult, right?
Yes.
So it kind of would be kind of a cult connection. It's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Now back to what you were saying. So
the first one I was talking about, maybe
where did it end up?
Maybe the Americans or the Russians got it via Operation Paperclip.
Didn't Witowski say the Russians have it? I don't want to misquote him.
I don't believe I remember hearing that, but maybe. I mean, it's possible.
Yeah, I don't want to misquote him.
Mm-hmm. Maybe another thing that I thought of is as we were saying earlier with Argentina, maybe the Nazis who fled maybe took the bell with them. I think that's just as valid as the other theory. And then the more obvious one to me, if this one was real. Am I a little too loud?
You're good.
The bell maybe could have been destroyed or sealed in a mine or a chasm, which I think is just as plausible.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also the other ones. Maybe the Nazi bell didn't exist at all. Maybe it did exist, but it didn't work worth a shit. Who is really to know? I think every theory is as valid as the other. And then the more tinfoil hatty one I said is maybe it ended up in Antarctica in that in that Nazi base.
I don't think it did.
I don't think so either, but I just thought it was a fun connection.
I think if anything, it was they maybe researched other things they found, or I think one theory was that there was like a UFO crash and they were trying to what's the word for that? They were trying to
reverse engineer it.
Yes, they were trying to reverse engineer it. Maybe it was like the Vimanas. They were finding those ancient kind of engineer designs, and they were trying to make a modern version of them. Mm-hmm. I find that very likely because the Nazis were very into those things. Any type of occult things or
aliens,
ancient mythologies about things. They had no they had no woo woo. Nothing was woo woo to them to where they weren't going to look into it. They would look into far out stuff and see what they could find.
It seemed like they were open-minded and that kind of thing.
They were very open-minded.
Whereas their politics were not open-minded at all.
That's
hilarious.
That's true. That's a good good observation. So yeah, I find it very likely that they were looking into those ancient Indian Vimanas and they were like, "Hey, we can make this. Let's make it happen."
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone's made that connection, but it makes a lot of sense to me now.
It's definitely plausible to me. I mean, it's the Nazis, dude.
So, like you were already talking about it. I'm going to read. I had one paragraph on the whereabouts.
Okay.
Witowski stated that Die Glocke ended up in a Nazi-friendly South American country.
There it
See,
is.
I was wrong
Yep.
already. He said it was in South America. Cook, on the other hand, states that it was moved to the United States as part of a deal made with SS General Hans Kemmler. Farrell stated that it was recovered as part of the Kecksburg UFO incident. This last theory was dramatized in the 2009 by the Discovery Channel and again in 2011 by the History Channel's Ancient Alien series. Oh, Ancient Alien said it.
Yeah.
It's definitely true.
Yeah. Of course they had to cover that shit, man.
A side note, we got to cover the Kecksburg UFO incident at one point.
I've heard a few things about it.
But to stay on topic, I'm going to go with Wachowski on just because he seems like the authority on the Nazi bell. If he says that he thinks it went to South America, I'm going with him.
You're going with that?
I'm going to go with him. If it existed, it's there. Mm-hmm. I'm going with that one.
You know what I think? I think the U.S. has it.
Yeah?
That's my little. Obviously, I don't know it all, but that is what I subscribe to: is that we have it, or that it doesn't fucking exist at all. But it's fun to think about. It is crazy how
The reptilians have it in Hollow Earth.
Yeah, the hollow. It's in the earth somewhere.
In Hollow Earth, the reptilians have it.
It is a cool.
And they use it as a fondue fountain.
A fountain. That's what they're using. That
fondue
shit.
fountain.
And it's like the dopest.
No, yeah, it's an interesting subject. I'm sorry we don't have more factual things to give you guys, but that's all we got about it is speculation and what Wachowski found. So if Wachowski comes out with another book with more facts, we will do a follow-up.
100%. If there is more developments with this whole topic is just so fucking cool to me. Anti-gravity, possible super weapon. Like, get the fuck out of here.
And
man.
I know he covers some other super weapons, which we might bring up at another time too.
Okay.
I have no doubt that the Nazis were doing all kinds of experiments into things. So to me, I find it very plausible that the bell existed. What do you think?
This is where I'm going to agree with you here. I find it very plausible as well.
How it worked and what it was actually capable of, I think that's where the facts get a little muddy.
It gets pretty tough there.
But
It's hard to know, man.
I don't think it's impossible.
The one piece of evidence that really hooked me is the survivors of that concentration camp who claimed to see a massive amount of light in the sky and
Yeah.
the henge and the cooling tower and who knows.
Something was
man.
going on there.
Something
for sure.
Whether it was the bell or something else, some fuck shit was going on there.
Yeah, whether it was a bell or they were just incinerating people.
Oh God! Dude.
Not that the Nazis would do that.
Using that to power the bell.
Oh man, that would be terrible.
That's like their fucking. Oh my God.
So yeah, I think that's all I got to say about the bell. What about you?
I'm pretty tapped out, man. This was a fun one though.
Yeah, guys, if you like it, drop us some comments if we missed anything. And as always, check out our merch store. But yeah, until next time, this is Red.
This is Jake.
Thanks for listening.
See you.